Kia ora everyone, welcome to Fireside Chat episode 3 where we talk to the source and nothing but the source. We're here with an ex-senior operator from the refinery. You guys all know him. Craig, how you going, mate?
Good.
Yep, awesome. So here we're going to talk no bullshit. We're not going to put out narratives out there that placate you into thinking that everything's okay when everything's not. We're going to tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. First, before we get started, we're going to push out some merch. We've still got plenty of these t-shirts to sell. We've got hoodies as well, singlets and stuff. It's very good at getting the awareness out there, awareness about the fact that this country needs a refinery, whether it's impossible to get it going again or not, that's beside the point. If you don't have a refinery, you can't make your own things. Okay, it doesn't matter that you have to import the crude to make the fuel, the CO2, the fertilizer and the bitumen. You still need the crude to make those things. And if you have to import all those things, it's higher costs all around. So we've got the merch out there, getting the awareness out there. We've got these bumper stickers. Very simple. No refinery equals bad roads. And everybody's noticing the state of the roads at the moment. I also want to push out the petition that we have on the Secure Marsden Refinery page. We've had a bit of a dip in the numbers. We're having about 100 people sign the petition each day. That slowed down a little bit. And I'm going to put a little bit of a call out there to Chris Leach. Chris, you know, I saw you got 18,000 signatures that you submitted to the Crown in the hopes that they were going to help stop the undermining of our refinery. So far, no good, but you know, maybe we could push those 18,000 signatures towards a representative action petition, which might go towards a court case and where we can take Channel Infrastructure to court for financial mismanagement. How about helping us out there, mate? And also, we're going to push out our content. We're putting we haven't done any content for a little while. Sorry about that. We had a death in the family. We're just getting over that now. But we're doing these fireside chats. We're doing the Marsden Man Cave episodes. Kiwi and Sue have been down at the refinery. It's getting up to 130 days. They've been doing the mobile spearhead build. They've been doing that with Craig. There's a lot of stuff that we're pushing out there that is getting a lot of awareness out there. We just need your help to share it, watch it, like it, get it around there so we can overcome people trying to make sure that people don't see it. Okay. Right, and while we're on that, I want to give a special mention to Kiwi and Sue. They're the guys that are helping us put together this amazing video content. The digging at Marsden, still going strong, almost 130 days outside the refinery. Those guys down there, they've weathered massive storms, big wintry blasts, cold weather. They're still there. I want to thank the Northern Advocate for covering them. And I also want to thank Craig, the mobile spearhead build, the videos that you guys have been doing with Kiwi and Sue, the building of the trailer so we can go tour around the country and bring this issue and the remedy to everybody. The help that you've put in is amazing. Thank you, mate.
No sweat.
And I also want to thank the Trump boys again for their donation of 1776. Sorry that you guys now have the police investigating or trying to investigate me through you. That's unfortunate. I just want to thank you again, Craig. You've been amazing. The information that you've been putting through has been on the money. It's information that people need to hear. And if only we could get more people interviewing you, eh?
Yeah, or more of the other guys from around there coming out and saying a few things.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of information out there.
Yeah. It seems to have a bigger effect on the masses if we're having multiple people coming out saying the same thing, not just one person saying something correct and everybody else too afraid to say it.
Yeah.
So I want to start off with I'm going to call it a press release. It was an article in the New Zealand Herald that came out, and I'm going to call it Naomi James's press release, and the title was "Not a Mothballing. Impossible to restart Marsden Point Refinery as more than 70% of decommissioning is completed." So we've heard from Naomi James before in terms of, it's impossible to make a profit, or it's not feasible to make a profit on the refinery. Then refining margins jumped from around $30 a barrel to $58 to $60 a barrel, and every other refinery except the mothballed refinery started making money. So she was wrong there. How do you feel about her stance of impossibility on this?
Anything's possible. it was just a bunch of sand dunes in the 60s, and a refinery got erected out of that. Most of the nuts and bolts are still there. Hurriedly got rid of some critical pieces, but anything is available. Would you build it back the same way? Possibly not. They've kept some of it. Some of the shiny stuff they're hanging on to for hopefully going to sell that, so we can buy our finished product off that later on at a later date from another country. I guess that's where they're angling for that. Technology's moving all the time. I'd be interested to see what is actually out there.
Well, they could build solar panels facing south there.
It was west, only one of the evening sun. Yeah, there's a way that they could power the lights at the Northport for a little later during the day. That was interesting. That was okay.
Look, just because we've gone down a road so far, we can still turn around and go back if things aren't working, can't we?
Yeah.
It would be more feasible to do that than continue on because someone's convinced themselves, no, we've gone too far, we can't turn back now.
Well, the good thing is they've got a consent for a refinery, so that's the hardest part, is anyone trying to build a house. Look how hard it is just to get a building consent for a house. I imagine the hoops you'd have to jump through to get a building consent for a refinery somewhere else.
Yeah.
Easy just to put it back where it was.
Yeah.
It's got Deepwater Port right there.
Yeah.
And we've got the Auckland end of the pipeline up there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, so the basics are already there. It's a good starting block.
Yeah.
We could do a great reset and build back better.
Yeah, well, the good thing is okay, it used to only do 70% of the refinery of New Zealand's capacity, but if everyone rushes out and buys all their electric cars, well then 70% might be enough to keep the trucks running.
Or if 30% of the population dies of myocarditis and pericarditis.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go there, but that's probably inevitable, sadly. But the 70% of the fuels that we make will at least keep the trucks going.
Yeah, I'll go there. I'm a bit salty at the moment. I lost someone to heart issues recently. Right, so we've got in the picture here on this article, not a mothballing, impossible to restart Marsden Point Refinery is more than 70% of the decommissioning completed. We've got the operations manager, Carl Philpott, and Naomi James smiling over all the destruction they've caused. And I don't blame Naomi James for having this stance of it's impossible to put it back together. People who are good at destroying things normally can't see the way forward into creating things that work. So, how do you think Carl actually feels about this?
I don't know, you'd have to ask Carl.
Oh, okay.
He's obviously going along with it. He's happy.
Yeah. So this refinery, and we're going to focus a little bit in this episode on the state of the roads and where all our bitumen used to come from. And we've talked about this in earlier episodes. We talked about the closure of the bitumen plant. We talked about Andrew Brewer's input in that. Did you want to go over that a little bit before we move on?
No, that was... They could get rid of the bitumen plant because it was outside of everything. I understand one of the big players that was involved said that they could source it, so that gave them an out to be able to simplify, give them a little bit less infrastructure to look after. Hopefully they could have looked after that, but it's obviously proven they've gone to a tank farm for a reason. The noisy part's obviously a bit too much for them. And yeah, from what I understand, that didn't really go down too well. I know I certainly won't be buying a new vehicle because I just think it's a waste of money on our roads. They're virtually gravel again because the repairs are actually worse than some of the things that they're actually trying to fix. We've got a repair down the bottom of our street that was actually worse than the problem they actually tried to remedy with the repair.
That was where that truck tipped over down there.
Pain in the ass. No, just around the corner another few hundred metres.
Yeah.
It's just a shocker. In fact, I think it was falling to bits before they even pulled the cones away after the fix.
So just from the trucks going back and forward?
The same trucks that use the road all the time, and the repair is stuffed. But yeah, it's happening countrywide. They keep changing the spec. We've got no, if it comes in crappy, it's going to stay crappy. There's no magic formula anymore. I understand Taranaki, there's some people down there that are looking at making their own again, which is a good idea. Land Transport, I think, looking at bringing in their own, which again has given this other big player a chance to say, wow, we don't even have to import that anymore, because Land Transport are going to bring their own black stuff in. But if it's the same shit, it doesn't really matter whose label's on it.
It all comes down to the specs, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, it comes down to the quality of what you're making it out of, and that had been slipping for a while. Just because it's black doesn't mean it's going to make good bitumen. That's been proven many times before, but again, that's their method of madness, isn't it? Do the same thing, expect a different outcome. Yeah. Seems to be the way
I was talking to
society's going at the moment with everything.
I was talking to another ex-senior operator. He hasn't found the bravery to come in front of the camera yet, but that's all right. He was talking about the ductility of bitumen. It depends on how thick the oil is, the elongated
chains.
Yeah. And he said that you get that really good bitumen from Saudi Arabia.
Yep. We used to only make it out of heavy Arab.
Yeah.
And then somebody decided that, hey, all of this stuff's got black stuff in it, maybe we can make it out of that. But there's different types of crudes. Like, there's not just one crude. There's paraffinic, olefinic, naphthenic. There's all sorts of fruity names for it, and they've all got a slightly different chemical composition. We can get the basic fuels and everything out of it, but once you start burning, and there's a controlled burn to actually make the asphalt.
Yeah.
If they're not doing it like that and they're just extracting, then they're not going to get the good numbers and the hard bitumen. It doesn't melt just because the sun's out.
Yeah.
And ends up, like most of the bitumen at the moment, it's ending up under your car or on your windscreen.
Or in the waterways.
So it's in the wrong, it's not designed to be on top of your car, it's meant to be underneath it. But they still haven't got it right. The roundabout down here at south of Whangarei, the reason it's in a shocking state is because of the garbage they use to do it. They might as well have gone to Bunnings, got some black paint. It's just about as good. Stick rocks in it. It's a joke.
Yeah, it is a bit of a joke.
Yeah. It should get a four-wheel drive magazine with your registration, so at least that way you can figure out how to get it in and around their main roads.
So one of the arguments that we have coming from the people who are all for the destruction of our strategic assets is that we import crude anyway. But you've got to remember, when you get the raw resource here, you turn it into a multitude of different products. And if the infrastructure that you have here and the guys that you have working the infrastructure are really good, you're going to get a whole bunch of really good resources out of it. That's why the strongest economies in the world right now make all their own things out of raw resources. Whether they have to import the raw resources or not, it's madness to them to import the finished product. That's why they don't do it. That's why they make it themselves and they export it to other stupid countries like ours. And so we couldn't be self-sufficient. It's true, we couldn't be self-sufficient in bitumen. We would have to import the crude from Saudi Arabia if we wanted the good bitumen we used to have here. But we can refine, or we could, if we had a refinery, our own crude here, couldn't we? It's just a bit sweeter. You couldn't make bitumen out of it, but you could make...
It doesn't have the bitumen components in it.
Yeah.
It's very light, classed as a condensate. Now, condensate is a lighter product. It doesn't have the heavy ends in it, which is where you make your bitumen from, is out of the residue component. There's very little residue, if any, in a lot of condensates. So the residue is a key component in distillation, because we don't actually make anything out of it, but it is such a heavy absorber of energy that we use, and it just comes in and out, it virtually just comes in and out on a free ride, but it's used for preheat to help assist the process be more efficient.
But you could make refined fuel out of it, and you could pull the CO2 out of it?
Yes.
Do you pull much sulphur out of it?
Very little, hence the name sweet.
Right.
Sweet is a name for crudes that have very low sulphur.
So you'd be pulling most of your sulphur out for fertiliser out of that heavy arid crude?
Sour crudes, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Heavy crudes are a lot sourer.
Right.
Yep.
Cool, and that's how you make things, so things can keep working.
Yeah. And you have people that are employed to make the things instead of sitting around.
So this might be part of the reason why our roads are falling to bits. So I've got a few articles here that we'll pull up on the screen, and this is about our roading project failures. Taxpayers in the dark over final cost of Transmission Gully. Have you looked into Transmission Gully?
There's a lot of inspections that went on even while they were building it as to how awesome that stuff was. Maybe the Bunnings black paint might have been a better option.
So that stuff didn't come from Marsden Point Refinery from our Saudi crude? No. Didn't think so.
They tended to taper away from that probably around 16.
Yeah.
They started trying to make it out of black stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just madness.
Yeah. Frustration at the appearance of potholes on Wellington's newly opened Transmission Gully. That's another article.
Was there complaints from the construction workers?
I think so.
Or the first four guys that drove on it?
I think it would be the first people that drove on it were the construction workers.
One good thing is probably a good idea to buy shares in Smith & Smith and any other windscreen repairer.
Right.
Because I bet they'll be doing an awesome trade at the moment.
There you go, some insider trading knowledge. It's a joke from the last episode. Make sure you watch it. There's another article. Part of Peka Peka to Otaki Expressway being ripped up for repairs. Apparently 7% of it is not up to scratch.
That's good.
It's not much, is it? What if that 7% is underneath the rest of it, though?
Under the 93% that's holding the 7% in. Yeah, well, a job worth doing is worth doing again and again, isn't it?
Didn't you just say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing twice and expecting different results?
It is, but that seemed to be the way we're going at the moment with a lot of things.
We need to be careful. We might get wrapped up in this new philosophy of madness. We might
become the new normal.
Yeah, might become the new normal. Driven to distraction, pothole woe up and down the country. And I'm going to give a special mention to Northland Potholes on Facebook. There's some bloody good funny posts on there. A lot of people are putting up pictures of potholes all around the country.
Good fishing spots.
Yeah, the good fishing spots. We've also got a new bumper sticker coming out. It's got old Hutch's Mini on there, and it's a little hashtag that our friends from actually Sue came up with it, and it's shitumen. It's bitumen that's shit.
Yeah.
So, special mention to Northland Potholes on Facebook. If anyone else out there is having massive problems with potholes all over their roads, set up groups all over social media to document your pothole woes underneath the shitumen that you're getting. And get it out there, spread it out there, and make sure that you spread out the remedy, which is reinstating our refinery, starting with the awareness campaign through the securemarsdenrefinery.nz webpage, and then moving on towards how we make sure we reinstate and create something that creates things for us in the future with excellent operators such as yourself, and how we stop ourselves from getting to this point next time, and where someone comes in and destroys it all for some ideology.
Yeah, or some hint of profit.
Yeah, profit. Yep. Belief structures and greed seem to drive all the things that make our lives harder.
Yeah, and if we went to just buying cheap shit, then we were well on our way.
Now I want to talk about the specs to the bitumen. Are they changing? Are they improving?
I would imagine, looking at the roads, I would say no. There's been a few changes made to them. I understand Land Transport now is going to start bringing in its own bitumen, because obviously it couldn't rely on where they were getting it from, or they think they can get it better or whatever.
Cheaper.
Well, yeah, cheaper's working in it.
But it's not cheaper for us.
Well, it's not cheaper anyway, and we're getting garbage.
Price, isn't it?
Yeah, we got garbage in already. We don't need to get any more in. Yeah, we'll see how that goes, I guess. Hopefully they get better. And if they're going to go to this road to zero, then give us something decent to run on, so we're not too busy worrying about where the hell we're driving. We're going to watch out for everything else. Focus on the road ahead, not what's directly underneath us or chucking us off the road.
Good point. That actually, we were right
And
up to talking.
and that doesn't mean just saying, okay, well, let's just drop the speed limit to 10 k's. So the potholes are safe.
I actually saw a guy, he was driving around a vehicle and he's got like this Speedo label on there. I'll have to look up the name of the cause that he's pushing forward, but it's basically keep the speed limit at 100, just fix the damn roads. I'm going to have to look that up so I can give you a plug, mate, but no, I agree. Fix the damn roads, don't drop the speed limit.
Yeah.
You know, the longer we've been driving, we're actually supposed to get better the longer we do things. I don't understand why the speed limit is dropping as we traverse through time as drivers. And let's talk about this Road to Zero. You've just brought up a very good point. There's a website by Waka Kotahi, I think it's Waka Kotahi or Land Transport New Zealand, about some ambitious goal to create a road to zero. A road to zero what? Zero potholes? No. Zero accidents. Zero deaths. They're actually, I'll read you this. This is from their website. We have a vision of zero deaths and serious injuries on New Zealand roads. A vision where everyone, whether they're walking, cycling, driving, motorcycling, or taking public transport, can get to where they're going safely. It might sound impossible, but Aotearoa has a plan to get there. It's called the Road to Zero. Wow, this word impossible. This sounds impossible. Restarting the refinery and reinstating it sounds less impossible than this. What do you think, Craig?
Probably be quicker.
Be quicker. Yeah. See, what this screams out to me is that it's telling, to me, basically from all my research into AI and self-driving cars, is that you're too irresponsible to drive if we're going to pursue zero deaths on the road. So we need to automate it and keep everyone in their little bubbles so we can achieve this unattainable goal that doesn't seem to have any rhyme or reason behind it.
No, there's that many gadgets in cars now. I think that's half the reason why people are still running into each other.
Yeah, distracted.
This is so much shit and it has nothing to do with driving. You can even buy fancy electric ones that'll drive themselves with a fireplace picture. Great. Now, who needs a fireplace in a car? I suppose after seeing all of the hazardous ads about electric cars, they'd probably end up with their own fireplace in them. And it won't be on the screen.
And then the firefighters will not be able to put it out because it will electrocute them. They'll just have to let it burn through you.
Yeah.
Lithium in water does not go well. I remember that in third form science.
No, and they start and continue on quite nicely. Even cell phone batteries are quite awesome. I don't know about one the size of a car.
I couldn't find anywhere on this website, Craig, how they were going to make sure that the roads were done properly so we could work towards the Road to Zero, because I was reading in some data in terms of what was causing the most accidents, and I might be wrong on this, it's been a while, but apparently medical events is up there, and the maintenance of the roads is up there as causes for deaths on the road. Not so much speeding or dangerous driving for the bulk of deaths on the roads. It's more to do with maintenance of the road or medical events. Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah.
So if you were to design a plan called the Road to Zero, and you wanted to find some way of achieving less injuries and less deaths, what would you do, Craig?
Well, I'd want the roads to be in better condition for a starter. I'd like to see probably a little bit more driver education on awareness, not
paying attention.
Not all this other shit about indicators and things, because most people know what they're doing with those. Hopefully, again, there's that common sense which we tend to be moving away from more and more. Seems to be a hard thing. There's that word assumption comes in. Yeah, I would be looking more at driver awareness, more in a car control situation rather than whether or not you've got your seatbelt on and your mirrors faced in the right direction like they do when you do your test. It would be nice if everyone rode a motorbike first, then they would realise that teaches you awareness, and also it puts you right out there. And that would be a good way to start. Motorsport is a good way of teaching car control and awareness. Speed, I've never really thought of that personally as an issue, other than people that can't handle it. Again, if they're outside their comfort zone, then they shouldn't be doing it anyway. Some people, I think, shouldn't even be walking, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah. Can we be self-sufficient off our own sweet crude?
I would have to see the numbers.
Yeah.
We could get by, but not everyone would have it. It wouldn't be enough to keep us going.
If anyone watching the show has not looked into the size of the continent that we have in this country, Zealandia is the name of the continent, you should check it out and check out how much basins there are. And then realise
storage. We've got massive stocks around us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone here who sees themselves as part of the land or people of the land, we are the kaitiaki of this entire continent. And if we're going to move forward in a more responsible way, and where we're taking care of ourselves and looking after those around us, we have to be able to be self-sufficient. We have to be able to take care of ourselves first, so we actually know how to take care of others.
Yep.
And the first step to that would be making sure that there's less holes in our road. And to get that, we need good bitumen. And as far as I can see, we're not getting it, are we, Craig?
No, there's roading contracts all around the country, no doubt, that are just being held up because they can't get them. Can't get it. The Whangarei one here, this roundabout is just a joke. They haven't got it right all the way through. I think they've done what they could with what they had. They just didn't have enough to actually finish the job, and then they put people on it, which has just destroyed it. So before they've even had a chance to actually finish the task. That's obviously just a shortage of decent bitumen. Plenty of crap stuff, I think, but I'd rather they just held off until they got the good stuff.
Yeah.
Do it once, do it right.
Yeah.
Rather than every bloody 3 months.
Yeah, I think it's about time we get back to making things in New Zealand and figuring out how we can be real leaders at making good stuff that is very mindful of our surroundings.
Yeah, we're worried about what everyone else is up to. How about we just worry about our own backyard for a bit, especially in the current climate the way it is.
Yeah, everyone's tearing each other apart. I think it's a time for us to get together and start working towards where we want to be in the future, especially for our children. Yeah,
and look after our kids and everybody else around us, which at the moment, it almost feels like a free-for-all.
Yeah.
This country, I think, over the last few years has virtually gone feral. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
It's quite disappointing.
Yeah, and the All Blacks aren't actually doing that well under this climate either.
Well, they're probably feeling it too.
Yeah.
Like everyone.
I think psychology was probably one of the biggest parts of how well you played when I was playing anyway, and it's still the same now. Yeah. If things aren't well in your country, you're not going to perform in whatever you're doing. So, yeah, let's get back to healthy psychology.
Yeah, getting on and enjoying it.
Yep, healthy people, healthy land.
Yep.
Thanks, Craig.
Sweet as, man.